So this right here is the end result of being bored at somewhere around 1 in the morning and deciding, you know what would be cool, you know what would be really badass? If I decided to build an Overkill XP system I could throw into my KVM setup while also being, while being as cheap as possible using stuff I've already got lying around the house. And this is the end result. This Core 2 quad is the end result. Let's take a look at this system. So first things first, we've got this nice little desktop mini tower, and I mean mini tower in a literal sense, ATX case. So this case is a bit small, but it's big enough for an MATX board, a power supply, some cards, a hard drive, and a CD drive, which is actually IDE on this system. We've got our SATA hard drive. This system's got a DG31PR Intel motherboard. And right here we've got our Sound Blaster Audigy 2 ZS sound card, the old venerable sound card, the EMU 10K sound card that you can find in quite a lot of these old XP PCs. And I'm like, you know what, I might as well put one in because that way I'll get EAX out of this thing. So I did that. I popped that board in and I can get FireWire and EAX out of there. Maybe even a joystick if I hook that up. Does this thing even have headers for that? Oh yeah, it does. It actually has joystick headers. There's our teeny little power supply for this case. Not the strongest, but thankfully we've got ourselves a Radeon 7750. So you can see here, it's a Radeon 7750 PCIe VHD. Basically, this has a special connector, and I'll show it to you in a second. And it's basically this thing can hook up 5 monitors at once, which means you can browse 5 monitors of furry porn on this computer. Now that's badass, isn't it? You can browse 5 different monitors on this computer. You can browse 5 of them on this SIT computer with this video card, this VisionTech Radeon, and I got this card for 20 bucks, so that's a steal. Here's our cooler. It's just a basic Intel cooler. You know those little cheapy Intel coolers that you would find everywhere at the time? It's low profile. It probably doesn't do a good job at cooling, and neither does this dying fan. I think this fan's dying. I know that like one of these 2 fans is dying and it gets a bit noisy. So let's move it back here. Move back here, and we've got ourselves Sound Blaster ports, and we've also got this video port. You see that special video port next to the display port with this old video dongle? Yeah, that's a special video port that breaks out into 4 DVI ports. And then the rest are our normal ports here, you know, the normal blah blah blah, you've seen them before ports. So right here we've got ourselves this Core 2 quad system. We got all these spinny fans in here. Let's point this up here. Let's go to BIOS. As you can see here, Core 2 Quad Q8400, EM64T capable. We've got ourselves 4 gigs of RAM. I think this might be able to take more. 2.6 gigahertz CPU. And that's pretty much all that needs to be said about the BIOS. Yeah, we can check here. I think I might just go disable high definition audio. Let's boot this thing up. Windows XP on this Overkill machine. Hell yeah. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for Windows XP to be on this. But if we want to say it's period correct, we'll just say, oh, you know, This was the late 2000s when Windows Vista came out, and it was kind of slow on those systems that were being sold as Vista Ready or really cheap systems. It was slow on those because they only had 512 megs of RAM and a single or dual core processor, and they were slow. And so boomers see this, and especially because it messed up older programs, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to run Windows I don't want to run Windows Vista. I don't want to run Windows 7. I want to run the good old goddamn Windows XP on this expensive quad-core CPU with a nice video card." Hey, it works. It freaking works. You bet it works. And let's even go to 3D Mark. Let's wait a decade for 3D Mark to scan our system. Look at that. Pentium 3 Xeon. Whoa. Let's go to Control Shift Escape. And as you can see here, under Performance, quad cores. Let's run this. Let's see how this benchmark rips. Let's see this benchmark just rip. There's some bars here, but look, we're getting like 32 FPS. This thing is just wrecking it. 32. Okay, now it dipped, but yeah, as you can see, we got our high resolution here. It's currently running this benchmark really fast for like an XP system. I mean, imagine playing like your old XP games on this wicked fast $20 GPU. Hell yeah. Wow. Just look at these 3D marks. 6082. I think that's good. Yeah, so yeah, let's put a game in here and see how this thing runs games though. What do we got here up? Alright, well this ain't ejecting. Let's do this. There we go. It's open. Let's throw some game in here. So I'm looking for games to install, and then I find the meme game. Yeah. Why not? I could play any game in the world, and I'm gonna play the most overplayed one. Let's pop this in. I'm not even gonna do an update on this. I'm just gonna pop this in and install it. You know what you used to have back in the day? I'll tell you what you used to have back in the day. You had these long install times where your game would just take a while to install, and up here it would be copying new files. It would just be copying those files from that slow DVD drive. And while it was doing that, while it was doing all that, you'd be just sitting here waiting. Now it's digital download, which on one hand is good because it's quicker, but on the other hand, you can't just go up to your friend and say, "Hey pal, you know what? You want to play some Crysis? Okay, here's my Crysis disc. Pop this in your computer and play some Crysis." Can't do that anymore because of digital distribution. Now you give a copy of a game to your friend and it'll say, "Oh, please sign into Steam and activate it." And then you risk losing it if you lose your password, or if you get hacked, or if you get banned from some digital download service for calling somebody gay and teabagging them. But at least you didn't have to deal with that back in the day. You just had to deal with long install times. So I've got some bad news, everybody. This sound card is completely dead. So maybe I'll have to do another part of this, if I do, but it does run games quick, and it seems like a good build. But I'm probably just going to pull the Sound Blaster Audigy out because it just seems like a dead card. And it's set to the only card in the system, and let's plug this in. Dead as a doornail. You can wiggle the knob here. Dead as a doornail, and it's freaking trying to play. volume set all the way up. So this sound card's dead. RIP. Anyhow, I think once I remove that sound card, I might test it out on Linux a bit before I trash it though. But once I remove that sound card, I think I'll put this computer upstairs in my room and next to the KVM. I'll just have to do a little bit of testing first, like on Linux or something, to make sure that the sound card actually is dead and it's not just driver hell from Creative, because that's what Creative's known for. Anyhow, there you have it. A computer that might be fun to mess around with once in a while. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.